Welcome to Dental Success Beyond Chairside, the podcast that's dedicated to revolutionising the way dental professionals succeed beyond the dental chair. Join us for a unique blend of insightful interviews with industry experts to help you thrive in your dental specialist practice. In each 20-minute episode, we'll delve into a variety of subjects, including HR, marketing, innovative techniques and systems, and AI to help transform your practice and unlock its full potential. Whether you're a dentist or specialist looking to enhance your practice, this podcast is your go-to resource for professional, personal, and profitable success. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dental Success Beyond Chairside. Are you concerned about the ramifications of contracted dentists on service and facility agreements deemed as employees and your payroll obligations? Have you wondered what you might be able to do to reduce this likelihood? Today, I'm joined by Dr Jeevan Sivalingam, a dentist with almost 20 years' experience, a multi-practice and dental laboratory owner, as well as co-founder of Jeeve, a management dental software. His company has been working on a technological solution to address how patient fees are received in practices, potentially assisting with the payroll implications with contracted dentists deemed as employees. This is known as Jeeve Pay. Dr. Jeevan, can you share your story about yourself and the innovation of Jeeve Pay?
Well, thank you, Michelle. Essentially I'm a dentist and I own quite a few clinics and kind of was struggling to have a business software to manage all of our clinics. And that's when myself and my best friend Gary developed a product called Jeeve, which in its initial form was called Jeeve Analytics. And for the last couple of years, we've been essentially a data analytics company, working with literally hundreds of clinics, allowing clinics to use the data that we collect to help propel their businesses. In the last year or so, I guess there's been a lot of discussions over how funds flow at a clinic. So traditionally, what happens is patients pay the clinic and the clinic then pays their associates under various agreements, the most common being an SFA. And that has been the status quo for many, many years. And for various reasons, that flow of funds is starting to change. And more we see in the medical community in particular, where the flow of funds is actually going from patient to clinician. And then the clinicians pay a service fee back to the practice. Now that might sound simple, but the implementation of that is really, really difficult because suddenly you've got a whole number of different bank accounts that then you have to do auditing on, you have to check if payments directly hit your account, you have to organize pays. And for most associate dentists, they pay the service fee, let's say it's 60% of total patient commissions. They pay the clinic that service fee so that they do all the administration work and the dentist can just focus on seeing patients. So suddenly this new flow of funds, not only does it cause issues in terms of auditing and check-in, but also puts a lot of burden on associate dentists. If somebody say, hey, we're going to have to receive all the patient fees, we're going to check if they're actually being paid, then we're going to have to send those funds to the practice as well. And then who's going to be liable if there's mistakes or hasn't been done in a timely fashion? From the owner's perspective, they're worried about their cash flow because if the funds aren't coming directly to them and they're waiting for associates to pay them, how are they going to pay their staff and their rent and things like that? So during this period, there was a lot of discussions, and HiCaps, which is the largest merchant terminal provider in the dental industry by a mile, came and spoke to us and said, why don't we partner up to try and create a solution to deal with this whole new flow of funds and make things a little bit easier. And that was essentially the genesis of Jeeve Pay. So you have a merchant company and a data company working together to try and create a solution. So Jeeve Pay, essentially what it does, it allows clinics to have different flow of funds methods. So it could be the conventional flow of funds where money goes from the patient to the practice and the practice essentially distributes that to dentists. It could be the new flow of funds mechanism where money comes from the patients directly to clinicians, and we facilitate the calculation of service fees. We check all the payments and we audit them and reconcile them. And it could be a hybrid approach where some clinics are like, well, we have some dentists who want to be on the old method of flow of funds, some dentists want to be on the new method of flow of funds, and our platform is kind of agile enough to be able to handle both requests. So, yeah, I think what's been really, really cool is the cooperation between us and HiCaps. So HiCaps are enabling us to allow access to the API. So we basically sit as an extra layer between your accounting software, your banks, and your PMS software. And we basically grab all that data together, check everything, do reconciliation, and then ensure there's a nice, simple way of funds flown either between the practice and the clinician or the other way around, the clinicians and the practice.
So a couple of questions, Jeevan. With the flow of funds going directly to the dentist's account, obviously they're getting 100% of funds and they're needing to perhaps, if you're going on that first one where it goes directly to their account, potentially they could be just spending all of that money and then saying, oh, well, I haven't got that money to be able to pay back for my service fee, sorry. And two, talk about Jeeve Pay being able to do all of those checks and audits and everything like that. How do I know if I'm an owner that I can trust that system? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the way it works is dentists basically have their own access to our platform. So not just clinics, the clinicians as well. And with that access, we gain visibility over their bank account that receives patient fees. So Jeeve platform will basically see every transaction that goes into that account, and that account is only there to receive patient fees. So obviously we don't have any visibility over their personal accounts or anything like that, just a dedicated account that's there to receive patient fees and distribute service fees as well. So through our partnerships, we've got access to that bank account in terms of transaction level feeds. We've also got access to HiCaps API. So as long as every transaction is going through the HiCaps terminal, we will see that as well. And that gives the owner some kind of comfort for the fact that they'll be able to see if funds are being taken out for other reasons. So you kind of get the big thing, I think, for owners is visibility over everything. For associates, it's transparency. They want to know where our service fees are coming from. So one of the most important kind of principles in our platform is transparency. So we have a dentist portal in our platform. So the dentist will be able to see how service fees are worked out, where lab fees come out, and linked to particular patients. And they'll be able to see every transaction that goes through. From the owner's perspective, what they get to do is, with the dentist permission, automate that service fee to come out every pay period, whether or not that's fortnightly or weekly or monthly. So what will happen is essentially once our platform has worked out everything and worked out what the service fees are and all the lab fees are, the owner then can request that service fee each month or each pay period. And that can be through the form of either an ABA file, or it can be in the form of a direct debit that they organize with their banks. So therefore, the owners get that constant cash flow. They're not waiting on someone to literally transfer the money. From the associate's perspective, they're not worried about people just stealing money because they get full transparency over every withdrawal that happens because they have to enable it. But they also get to see all of their deductions, everything that affects their essentially commission, which includes lab fees or adjustments or anything like that. So you kind of really have this closed system, which operates right now, where owners know everything and they get to decide what associates get to see, to a model that's much more transparent.
So who actually plugs in all of the lab fees, and if there's adjustments and things like that, how does the flow of that work, Jeevan?
So that's the clinic's responsibility. As I say, associates are paying the service fee to the clinics for a reason. And with our platform, the practice manager or whoever the clinic delegates will put in all the lab fees into our system. As I say, that will be visible to the associates as well. So all of those things happen at the clinic level in terms of auditing and essentially checking all these transactions. Again, that's the clinic's responsibility as well, because they have access to visibility through our platform to see the bank accounts. They'll be doing the cross-check between high caps APIs information and the bank account information to make sure that every transaction that is supposed to have gone through has actually hit the bank account as well. Every, say, VEDS account or DVA account or Medicare account, all of those checks and balances still need to be done. What we
that's
do is
done by the practice. I was just that you were answering my next question, because obviously everyone reconciles their high caps daily with their practice management system, and then they just reconcile with Jeeve Pay.
So we bring all of that settlement stuff that you would traditionally do on like a paper receipt into Jeeve. So we digitize that. But we also digitize cash books and petty cash as well. So for most clinics, they've got this little, I don't know, A4 piece of paper that they kind of scribble when cash has been received and when it's been banked. And, there's no wonder that I think stats say between 30 to 40% of dental clinics have embezzlement issues, whether they know it or not. So what we're doing is we're making everything digital, and we're also having a trail. So you can actually, if something goes missing or something happens, we'll have a digital trail to be able to identify where that happened. We follow, for things like cash, we follow that whole transaction from when it's deposited until it hits the bank account. And that way it's a closed loop. So no one can go around and steal things, because we'd be able to, we have that verification mechanism. And we do it all from the comfort of your home. So you no longer have to go to, if you're a model clinic, you don't have to go to each clinic and check everything. It just makes things a lot more transparent. And, I think one of the biggest benefits of our platform is that whole fraud and embezzlement protection.
I never thought of it like that. Because obviously depending on what practice management systems and things you had, and I've always been part of quite technologically advanced practices. So the cash and everything going through, it was never written on bits of paper and things like that. But interesting. Just with regard to the calculations and things like that. So that's obviously just all automated through just formulas and things like that. So it just calculates it automatically. Does that need to be set up, or can you just automatically set up? You talked about the direct debits and everything earlier, but if they're getting paid each month, then can you just organize it to automate, to calculate that service fee, to organize the invoice and to get that paid? Or is that a manual thing as well?
Yeah, so with our wizard, you'll decide, what your pay periods are, whether that's weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. And then what our platform does is you'll put in each clinician's service fee percentage. So obviously, between clinicians it might vary. And you do that all at the setup. And then we basically calculate everything automatically. And we'll, kind of like Xero, you do your staff pays through, say, Xero, you will do a pay run or service fee run, and basically everything will be calculated, and you get to verify everything. And then that produces an ABA file. We also automate your invoices. We automate your BAS invoices, your quarterly BAS statements as well. So we kind of cut out a lot of time, and our practice, as we've implemented it, we've been able to save 2 days a week. Obviously, we're quite a large group. We're able to gain significant efficiency gains on top of all the other benefits of fraud and investment protection as well.
So with regard to setup and things like that, Jeevan, what's the process with setup, the support? How easy is it to learn? I was speaking to Dr. Stanley last week, and he was saying, people don't like change. It's like another thing that we've got to do. Can you explain how easy and versatile it is to set up in your practice, please?
So, I think one of the things about Jeeve is that we've been able to work with all the PMSs. So I think we have 95% coverage of PMSs, so you don't have to change your practice management software at all. We mostly work with Xero because it seems to be the software of choice across all clinics. And we work with almost all banks. So even though we have a relationship with HiCaps and NAB, you don't have to be a NAB customer. Ideally, if you want access to our, ordering facilities, you should be a HiCaps customer, which, to be honest, let's be honest, I think 98% of the industry is a HiCaps customer. So in terms of setting this all up, the big thing is working out with your advisors, which is, your lawyers or your accountants, what is your flow of funds, and making sure you have all those arrangements, whether that's contracts or whether that's setups. That's something that you need to do with your advisors. Once that's all implemented, we obviously take care of the implementation, and our onboarding process is pretty straightforward. So, we can get people up and running really very quickly. For a lot of our users, we kind of say start off with the traditional flow of funds, get used to our platform, and then switch to the new flow of funds once you're used to it. There is an adjustment period for the new flow of funds. As much as we try to make that as easy as possible, it's a big change for everyone, right? Only going from clinic handling everything to suddenly having that responsibility on the clinicians. That is an adjustment for no matter how easy we make it. But that's why I say, I think it's always a good way to say, start with current flow of funds, use Jeeve for that, gain all the efficiencies, gain all the fraud protection. And then when you're comfortable, switch over to the new flow of funds. And that's what the vast majority of our users are doing.
Excellent. So you've already implemented it in your own practices and now it's getting implemented more widely through other practices. What's the feedback that you're getting from them, Jeeve?
It's the main time savings. So those often it's the practice managers who are doing all of this work, traditionally, right? Checking all the physical high cap statements to make sure that the flow of funds are actually hit the account, checking the bank accounts are going one by one, going through all this stuff. Tedious work. And you think, from a manager's perspective, there's so many better ways that they could be spending their time, whether that's helping train receptionists or whether that's improving patient experience. So, big thing for us is efficiency and time saving. And then the second part of it is to try to do the new flow of funds without Jeeve. I think it's impossible unless you're shifting the complete compliance burden to your associates. And I don't think that's something that any associate wants to deal with. And in the market right now where associates are difficult to find, particularly depending on where you are, trying to say, well, hey, by the way, you're going to do all this extra work and not get paid any extra. I think it's a tough sell. So, I think the feedback is we make implementation actually possible. We actually make it something that you can actually manage to do.
And I first knew of Jeeve with the analytics and I loved that part of it because that's a big thing with regard to from a business management perspective and being able to see those. When you used to go along to ADX, it was all of the toys for the boys type things and there was never any tracking or any analytics. And then this year at ADX, I saw Jeeve Pay and with everything going on, obviously with the flow of funds, and that's what we've been talking about with these implications of the service and facility agreements. And as you said, you have to go off to your people to make sure that it works out right. But being able to set up that one account to do everything is perfect, and it takes the onus off the associates as well as protects the practices potentially from fraudulent activity. Plus, the practice manager can do other things, rather than doing more work to pay the associates and things like that. I was a practice manager that had to pay the associates and work everything out and do that spreadsheet and do the checks and everything like that. So I understand exactly where that's coming from. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us, Jeevan?
Yeah, I just think Jeeve's kind of mission is to become that, one-stop shop for your whole business management software. We kind of say that we are the first BMS. PMSs kind of deal with your clinical kind of side of things. We're dealing with the business side of things. So what you'll find with Jeeve Pay is we're adding the ability to make payment plans. We're adding the ability to make membership plans for your clinics. We're adding a whole bunch of new features onto all of our products that you'll see. And, the idea is that hopefully long-term, all you'll ever need is your PMS and your BMS, and it kind of covers everything you need.
Well, I think that's a beautiful summary, Jeevan. Thank you so much for joining us today. For more information about Dr. Jeevan and Jeeve Pay, including the website and social media profiles, please check out the episode description. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Jeevan, and sharing about Jeeve Pay. It sounds like a wonderful innovation that is obviously evolving and will be improved and is going to be great for practices. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Excellent. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast or YouTube channel. Your feedback helps us bring you more valuable content and inspiring stories from leaders in the dental industry. In our next episode of Dental Success Beyond Chairside, we're joined by Dr. Max Gunawa, co-founder of CoTreat Colleague. If you're involved in patient consults and seek better diagnostic support or want to improve patient safety, uncover missed treatment opportunities, and reduce medico-legal risks, this episode is for you. Join us every second Saturday for insights into CoTreat and more on Dental Success Beyond Chairside. Thank you for listening.